"Please don't sentence me to life in prison," he told the court. "I don't deserve it."
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at the 10 most famous people in prison right now.
The jury believed them and found Robert Kelly guilty of those counts.
For this list, we'll be examining the most widely known individuals or celebrities who are currently incarcerated. Which of these famous people did you not know was stuck behind bars? Share with us in the comments below. Suge Knight. As the co-founder of Death Row Records, Suge Knight played a significant role in shaping the West Coast hip-hop scene. But just as his influence grew, so did his run-ins with the law. In 2015, while on the set of the NWA biopic Straight Outta Compton, Knight got into an altercation with two men, Terry Carter and Cleabone Sloan.
Suge Knight has turned himself into authorities after a deadly hit-and-run accident.
He's alleged to have run over both of them with a pickup truck, killing Carter and leaving Sloan with severe injuries. Authorities initially charged Knight with murder and attempted murder, but he later pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter. In 2018, he was handed a 28-year prison term and will be eligible for parole in 2034.
There's consequences for everything that we do, and he reacted inappropriately.
Joe Exotic. Controversial zookeeper and businessman Joe Exotic gained international recognition when he was featured in the widely popular Netflix series Tiger King. Among other things, the show depicted the intense rivalry between Exotic and animal rights activist Carol Baskin. The relationship between the two was so strained that Exotic reportedly paid hitmen to have Baskin murdered. Additionally, he was accused of killing 5 tigers and selling others across state lines, in violation of federal wildlife laws. In 2019, a federal jury returned guilty verdicts on 17 charges of animal cruelty and 2 counts of attempted murder for hire.
The former owner of the Greater Wynnewood Animal Park was found guilty on all counts Tuesday.
Exotic was sentenced to 22 years in prison. After appealing his conviction, his sentence was reduced by just 1 year.
That reduces his punishment by just a year, despite pleas from the 58-year-old for leniency.
Danny Masterson. That 70s show actor Danny Masterson had faced sexual assault allegations since March 2017, with the incidents dating as far back as the early 2000s.
Masterson was never charged with the crime and strenuously denied all the allegations.
Masterson denied the claims, but was dropped by his agency and fired from the Netflix sitcom The Ranch. Just like Masterson, some of his alleged victims were also members of the Church of Scientology, and they reported being harassed by the institution after coming forward.
He and the church systematically stalked, harassed, invaded their and their family's privacy.
Masterson's first court case ended in a mistrial. But in May of 2023, a second jury found him guilty of 2 of the 3 criminal counts he was facing. The charges carry a possible prison sentence of 30 years to life.
In his new trial, after the guilty verdicts came in, Masterson was immediately handcuffed and sent to jail.
Julian Assange. For years, the United States government has tried to extradite Australian journalist and activist Julian Assange to face espionage charges. As the founder of WikiLeaks, Assange first gained notoriety in 2010 when he published several classified U.S. military and diplomatic documents. That same year, he was charged with sexual assault in Sweden, and a warrant was issued for his arrest.
He said they were politically motivated lies, part of a plan to ultimately get him into a U.S. courtroom.
In 2012, Assange jumped bail in London and sought asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy to avoid extradition to Sweden.
To avoid extradition, Assange took refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he's lived ever since.
He remained there until 2019, when he was arrested by British authorities after Ecuador revoked his asylum. Assange has been imprisoned in London since then, fighting against his extradition to the US, where he faces a possible 170-year sentence.
If the US convinces judges at London's High Court that Julian Assange isn't too ill to face trial in America, he's one step closer to being put on the plane to face trial.
Oscar Pistorius.
Today, Oscar Pistorius is calling her brutal death a tragic mistake.
Nicknames the Blade Runner, Oscar Pistorius made history by competing in both the Paralympic and Olympic Games using carbon fiber prosthesis. Pistorius' status as an internationally renowned athlete was extinguished on Valentine's Day 2013 when he fatally shot his girlfriend Riva Steenkamp at his home in Pretoria, South Africa. According to the former athlete, he had mistaken her for an intruder and fired in self-defense.
I am absolutely mortified by the events and the devastating loss of my beloved Riva.
Nevertheless, he was found guilty of culpable homicide and handed a 5-year prison sentence.
Today's verdict suggests the judge believed Pistorius' explanation.
Upon appeal by prosecutors, Pistorius' conviction was changed to murder, and his sentence was eventually increased to 13 years and 5 months. He was up for early release in March 2023, but was denied by a parole board.
The South African athlete and convicted killer was denied early parole.
Elizabeth Holmes. The healthcare technology company Theranos was founded in 2003 by Elizabeth Holmes with the promise of revolutionizing blood testing.
She had just dropped out of Stanford and had a grand vision to revolutionize healthcare.
Holmes raised nearly $1 billion from investors on claims that her seemingly exceptional machine, the Edison, could run multiple tests using only a few drops of blood. It was later revealed, however, that Theranos' technology did not work as claimed, and the company knowingly defrauded investors. In June 2018, Holmes was charged with multiple counts of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud.
Now, facing up to 20 years in prison, Holmes has pleaded not guilty.
Following a highly publicized trial, Holmes was found guilty on 4 criminal counts and sentenced to over 11 years in prison. She began serving her term in May of 2023.
As she entered a Texas federal prison, it's where she'll spend tonight and potentially the next 11 years.
Josh Duggar. The TLC reality series 19 Kids and Counting focused on the lives of Michelle and Jim Bob Duggar, and as the title suggests, their 19 children. The show was a huge success until its abrupt cancellation in 2015 following some pretty shocking revelations.
TLC canceled the show in 2015 when Josh Duggar came under investigation.
The eldest child, Josh Duggar, admitted to inappropriate behavior against underage girls, including some of his own sisters. However, as the statute of limitations had passed, Duggar didn't face any criminal charges.
Statute of limitations prevented any potential charges from being filed.
In 2021, Duggar was arrested for receiving and possessing explicit material involving minors. He opted to fight the charges in court and was ultimately found guilty. With a nearly 13-year prison sentence handed down to him, Duggar's earliest possible release date is in 2032.
After Josh's guilty verdict was announced, the couple wrote on their website, "Nobody is above the law."
Jared Fogle. For 15 years, Jared Fogle was the face of restaurant chain Subway. Fogle claims that a diet consisting mostly of Subway sandwiches had helped him lose nearly 250 pounds in 1 year.
Later, big guy.
In 2015, however, his partnership with the franchise came to an end. That year, Fogle's home was raided by the FBI, where they uncovered evidence that he had distributed and received obscene images and videos of minors.
FBI and state police raiding Jared Fogle's mansion Tuesday.
He also admitted to traveling across state lines to engage in unlawful conduct with an underage girl. Fogle faced a possible 50 years in prison, but after accepting a plea deal, he was sentenced to 15 years and 8 months. He is eligible for early release in 2029.
He now is sentenced to more than 15 and a half years in prison.
R. Kelly. Throughout most of his career, disgraced R&B star R. Kelly had been dogged by numerous allegations of sexual misconduct.
protesters calling for police action and an end to producing and playing R. Kelly's music.
The claims first came to light in 2002, when Kelly was arrested after a leaked video showed him engaging in inappropriate conduct with a minor. He was, however, acquitted of those charges in 2008. It would take more than a decade for his day of reckoning to eventually come.
Today, they finally got justice.
In 2019, the Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly, which featured testimonies from some of his accusers, brought the case back to the spotlight. Kelly was arrested soon after and faced multiple federal and state criminal charges. Altogether, he is serving a 31-year sentence, with a release scheduled for December 2045.
A federal judge in Brooklyn sentenced singer and convicted sexual predator R. Kelly to 30 years in prison.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein's Hollywood empire crumbled in October 2017 when the New York Times and the New Yorker revealed numerous allegations of sexual harassment and assault against him.
In October 2017, Harvey Weinstein finally lost control of the story.
The revelations ignited the Me Too movement, which saw many individuals come forward with their own experiences of misconduct. In total, more than 100 women accused Weinstein of either harassing or assaulting them, with some dating as far back as 1980.
The prosecutors had called Weinstein's criminality something that had been sustained over the course of many, many years.
As a result, multiple criminal charges were unveiled against the producer in New York and Los Angeles. In 2020, he was sentenced to 23 years in the New York case, followed by a 16-year sentence in the Los Angeles case the next year. He is expected to serve both terms separately.
Harvey Weinstein, a 70-year-old man in very poor health, just found out that he'll be spending the rest of his natural life behind bars.
Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.